everyone, it's Miss Moss here at the Central Public Library. I hope you're all doing great. Welcome back to another virtual program that we're doing with our Take and Make kits. Today's going to be our Fall Wreath or our Thanksgiving Wreath, whichever you would like to call it. You will need some supplies that we have given you in your Take and Make kits and some supplies that you will need from home. The supplies that we provided you in your Take and Make kits, make sure that you have out at this time to make sure that you have everything you need. The first things that we have are our grape wreath, our chalkboards, our paper that says Happy Thanksgiving on it, our bows, and our floral that we'll be using for the wreath. Some other things that would be helpful to you while doing this project is to have a glue stick handy. Either scissors or gardening shears, wire cutters work as well. Whichever you have at your disposal will work. Another thing that is not necessary but could be very helpful to this project is a glue gun. If you are going to use a glue gun, please make sure that you are careful to watch your fingers, everyone. We don't want anyone to get burnt, so keep that in mind if you use it. So what we're going to do now is clear our area of space so that we have a good work area. So you're only going to leave your grape leaf wreath, your chalkboard, and your Thanksgiving sign. Everything else at this time we can move away to give ourselves a little bit more space to work. So what you're going to do first is you're going to take your Thanksgiving paper and glue it to your chalkboard. I already did this step, so at this time, glue the back and place it onto the chalkboard. If it's a little bit big, just push down those edges for a clean, seamless look. Or you can take a scissor and cut it down to size if it's just not fitting the way you'd like. Or if you want a different type of design, maybe you want the black showing a little bit from the chalkboard, it's up to you. Once you have that step done, we're going to take our grape leaf wreath. And I'm going to use my hot glue gun at this time to just glue down around the edge of the bottom of our wreath so that we can attach our chalkboard sign to it. If you need a little bit more time, remember that you can pause these videos and then continue. You do want to use the glue liberally so that your chalkboard stays on. You're going to push down for about 30 seconds to make sure that it really sticks. While you're holding that down, you're going to grab your burlap ribbon at this time. Once you have that, you can take your scissors or you can take your gardening shears and you're just going to cut off this white little piece. And always be careful not to cut your fingers. We don't want anybody getting hurt. Once you have that piece cut off, you're going to take your glue gun once again and you're just going to glue down that top knot piece so that it'll stick to our Thanksgiving fall wreaths. I'm going to put mine on a little bit of an angle, but you can put it straight. You can put it any direction that you like. And again, just be careful of your fingers that they don't get burnt. The glue does get hot until it cools and it dries. Take a look at what you're seeing so far. Make sure you're happy with it. Gently pick it up to make sure everything stays on. So this is what everyone's wreath should look like so far. Once you have that part done, we're going to move on to using some of our flowers. You're going to just put our wreath to the side, giving us enough space to continue with working. This is where those wire cutters or garden shears could really come in handy, but you can use scissors as well. If you are using wire cutters or shears, be careful with them. So we're going to individually cut our flowers. So see what I'm doing here? I'm taking my garden shears and just snipping it, leaving a little bit of room there so that we can weave them into our wreaths once we're done. At this point, you can fast forward the video to the next part where we are attaching them to our wreaths. It's always good to leave a little bit of extra space when we do this part, because you can always cut them further, but we can never add length to them once they are cut. So that is something just to keep in mind while you're working on this part of the project. And just be careful. I'm going to continue to cut these. Alright, once we have all of our flowers cut, you're ready to move on to the next step of the video. If you're still at this time working on cutting out your flowers, please pause the video before moving on. I don't want anybody to get lost during this, so feel free to take your time with cutting those. So we're going to make a nice little pile with all of our flowers and push those to the side so that we have that clean workspace that we talked about at the beginning of the video. We're going to bring back our wreath to the center of our project here. At this time, you can start thinking about the pattern you want to use. If you don't want to use a pattern, you definitely can place them randomly. It's up to you. You do want to keep those gardening shears or wire shears, handy in case you want to trim them down a bit more. Once you do that, you're going to start hot gluing your flowers down. This part, you can also pause the video at any time if you are working on it. If not, you can continue to follow along with me. And just like we talked about, make sure if you are using a hot glue gun that you are being careful not to burn yourself. I did cut mine a little bit too long, as you saw, so what I'm doing is I'm trimming down all those pieces so that my wreath looks uniformed. You can also turn your wreath as you go to make it a little bit easier for you to see. That's totally okay too, whatever makes it best for you to work on your project. And it only takes a dot of glue, you don't need a whole lot. So just keep that in mind as you're going through on this project. You don't need a lot of glue at all. Just a little dot of glue will do, because you can always go back once it's dried and see what's going on if you needed to add some extra, because we want our craft to look as clean as possible. And we don't want any residual glue or anything like that. Even once they're dried, you can pull them off if you don't like the placement that you used, which is totally okay to do as well. You can change your mind as you go along. You might have started off with what you thought was how you wanted it to go. So changing your mind is totally okay with this project. This would make for a wonderful door decoration for Thanksgiving. You could also put it on your bedroom door, give it to somebody as a gift even, for mom, dad, you know, somebody special in your life. Handmade projects are always a wonderful thing. So just like I said, a dab of glue will really go a long way when you are working on these types of projects. So as you can see, I do have quite a bit of leftover flowers as I'm coming to the end of my wreath. If you have a lot left over like me, you can add them in if you want to give it a more fuller effect with your flowers. That's probably what I'll go and do myself once I have this all put together. I wanted to make sure that as I went around, I had enough, which it's definitely looking like we should all have plenty of leftover flowers to kind of see what we want to do with. So this is where I am at so far on this. So we're just going to take a look, see where I might want to add some more into here to give it that full effect. So I'm just going to add some into the bottom part of the wreath to make it a little bit nicer. I didn't use a particular pattern. I just kind of went a little bit random on mine as I went through. But if you like how yours came out and you want to send us some photos, we would love to add them to our Facebook and Instagram pages. And you can also follow us and like us on them. We always love to share our patrons' arts and crafts and any types of projects that you've done with us during this virtual time. Because that's what's so great about arts and crafts. Everyone's designs are so different from one another. I'd love to see what all of my teens came up with while we worked on this project. Sure, you guys had some really creative ideas while we were going. So you should almost be finishing up at this point, I think. If not, that is totally okay. My own wreath does look like it's almost done, so that's great. We're going to put this up in our brand new YA space that we opened up recently, so definitely if you're stopping into the library to pick anything up, stop in, say hi to me. You can even bring your craft in if you want me to see it. I'd love to know how they all came out. So, yep, we're just about done, it's looking like. I'm cutting the last few of the flowers here. If you're working with the glue guns, make sure to watch your hands on this part. Alright, so what I'm going to do at this point is I'm going to pick my wreath up. I'm going to hold it away from myself just to kind of see how it's coming out so far. sometimes when you're working right on top of a project, you can't always see. So this is what I'm looking at so far. I'm going to put that back down. I'm going to turn it a little bit, see if there's any spots that I want to fill in at this point with those leftover flowers that we're working with. And it does look like I have a couple spots here and there that I want to fill in, just because with mine I want to give it a full effect. While I'm finishing up this, I just want to remind you guys to keep checking our social media pages for more crafts that we have going on. Everything right now is virtual. We do miss all of you here at the library during our programs, and we're hoping to be able to offer those as soon as we can. But I do hope you are enjoying our Thanksgiving wreath making project. Like I said, I'm just filling in those last couple of spots on my wreath that you guys can do as well with yours. It's looking really great. Super happy with what I'm seeing so far. I have just a little bit left here that I want to use up. Don't feel obligated though to use all of the flowers. You definitely don't have to. You don't even have to use the ribbon if you don't like. That's what's so amazing about arts and crafts and everyone having different ideas. Love how unique they all come out. Alright, I think at this point the wreath is pretty much done. Let's give it one final look. And don't forget to clean up your area once you do finish your craft. We always like to start and end with a clean working surface. So here we have our Thanksgiving wreaths. I hope you enjoyed this program as much as I did. And once again, make sure to keep checking back on our social media pages, and we hope to have more virtual programs up real soon. All right, everybody, it was great kind of talking to you. And don't forget, if you need anything, the library is here for you. Have a great day or evening. Bye-bye.